Well, almost now. We're getting there. We're getting there. There we go. Hi, Ben. How's it going? How goes it, Mr. Ben? Just waiting for everybody to get in here. Same old thing. And then we will start the show. Now, of course, I wasn't here last week because it was Easter weekend. I don't stream on holidays. You know how that goes. Tasty. Hey, Clean Frame, how's it going, sir? We'll be getting going here in a minute. Let's keep you over there, out of the way and out of trouble. Polka scored 4 touchdowns in one game. We got a few minutes left. Few minutes left before the show starts. Look at here. This was supposed to be a 10-inch Mario clock. And that was, big, thick plastic one with a sheen on it, kind of a 3-dimensional clock. Instead, I get this 8-inch flat thing. I mean, I'll still find a place to put it up somewhere. Somewhere I'll find a place to put it up. Just goes to show you never know what you're going to get when you try to buy online. Like, for example, if you try to buy a replica of the flux capacitor, you may end up with something like this instead. I'm just saying. How's that? Yeah. Yeah. Big cup of tea. I like my tea, Clean Frame. I like my tea. God, I miss shows like Married with Children. Nice shirt. Yeah. No, Married with Children would not happen nowadays. Would not happen. And yes, it does have Bundy's name on the back of it, in case you were curious. He is indeed on there. I like watching the reruns of that show. I'm not that big a fan of the first season. To me, it doesn't really start to get good until the second season. But the first season's okay. It's not awful. Oh, shoot. What a week. What 2 weeks it's been. What 2 weeks it has been. Oh, I should let y'all know. Well, you know what? I'll wait until more people get in here, and then I'll let you know. Got some other stuff that working on getting set up for the eventual game room tour, such as this little beauty that I picked up. Welcome, foolish mortals, to 7th's Mansion. Yes. That'll be fun. Got to find a good place to hang that up. I am such a nerd. No one who hasn't rode the Haunted Mansion is going to get that. So, or at least seen the crappy Disney movies. But I get it, and so I'm going to find a place to put it somewhere. I got 3 light up signs like that. I got that one, I got a Mario one, and I've got a Nuka-Cola one. And I got to figure out where I'm going to put them before we film the game room tour, which there's another thing that's holding the game room tour up, but I'll explain that in a few minutes. We're just waiting another 4 minutes for more people to get in here. And then we'll cover the topics for this Saturday. This is a really weird outfit, isn't it? I got a imitation leather cowboy hat on with my sunglasses. I got Al Bundy's football jersey on. And then I got punk rock bracelets and one of my old punk watches, even though I don't need it anymore because I use my phone for that. And these El Cheapo stainless steel rings that don't even have skulls and stuff. And of course, I lost my 7th ring years ago and have never gotten around to having it replaced. So a huge influx of games came all of a sudden. Yeah, I know. One of them I completely forgot that I pre-ordered it last year, and it showed up unawares and kind of surprise hit my bank account. Wasn't expecting to be $50 shorter, and that was Clear Obscure Expedition 33. And of course, the minute 8th saw it, he took it up to his room, so I haven't gotten to play it. I got to see it a little bit. He brought it down here long enough to let me watch him play it, but I haven't gotten to play it. You have any real gold or silver jewelry? No. I've never been that big of a jewelry guy. You know, I like a ring every now and again. I like a watch or a wristband. Yeah. I used to have this brown leather one that had a big silver cross on it. I lost that years ago. But I've always been just more kind of, punk bracelets and watches and rings, and that's about it. I don't wear necklaces or anything like that. I don't like having stuff around my neck. It's not comfortable for me. It irritates me, gets on my nerves. I hope my stomach shit don't bother me too bad today. I'd prefer that it not. I'd like to have a nice, comfortable stream for a change. But I have a feeling it's going to bother me anyway. It is what it is. We'll see, I guess. We'll see. Almost ready to go. Almost ready to go. Almost ready to get this show on the road. Oh, man. X33 is the first French RPG and the first true game in contention for Game of the Year. Not true. Not the first French RPG. Perhaps the first French turn-based RPG, but not the first French RPG. For one thing, the company that makes Greedfall and Steel Rising, Spiders, is French. So they're in Paris, I think. How much money would you get if you sold your whole game collection? Well, the book value on it is $67,000, but I have no idea how much of that I'd actually get. Anyway, it is Saturday, 6 o'clock, April 26th, 2025, and this is the 7thCast. As always, I'm your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is off doing what 8th does. So, first thing, for those of you who were here 2 weeks ago when we had our first 6-hour stream in forever, because y'all wanted to see me take over Billy's Whatnot stream, and I did. I certainly did. There was some drama towards the end of that stream because the functionality of sending the money from the place that it pools to my bank account had stopped working. This was a concern. And I had told everybody that if I couldn't get it fixed, that I would just refund everyone once I had confirmation that I wasn't going to be able to fix it. Well, I ended up calling Streamlabs support, got a live person, and within about 5 minutes, they had it fixed. So we're all back up and running. The Streamlabs link works. It works excellently. It's all fixed. Everything's all good. And so we continue to appreciate everybody's support who comes out every weekend that I'm able to stream and watches me talk about dumb crap. I really appreciate it. At one point, me and 8th had talked about moving my whole rig upstairs to his PC room so we could do co-op streaming side by side. That's not going to happen because there's been changes to his plans upstairs. And so let me explain that before we get into asking me lots of questions, okay? It is, after all, the primary topic for this weekend. So when it became clear that we would one day want to buy another house instead of rent, this was before we were strong-armed into having to do it. I had asked 8th, what would be your one I'd love to have it thing about owning a house? And at the time, he had started getting into tabletop role-playing games that his friends played. Didn't own any at the time, but his friends did, so he'd go over to their place and play. And he said, I would like to have a collection of tabletop games, and I would like to have a room of the house dedicated to that so that me and my friends have a nice place that we can sit down and play our games that's not, at the kitchen table or something. I said, okay, and I kept that in the back of my mind. So then, last year, a year ago, last March, when they let us know that they were going to be kicking us out and selling the house out from under us, and I was going to have to hurry the hell up and find a house to buy, that was why I was determined that I was going to find a 4-bedroom house, because one of them I was going to make into a tabletop gaming room for 8th. So, we bought this house. We 2 days before we were supposed to move in, narrowly missed getting the house destroyed by a tornado. And since then, a bunch of unexpected expenses has popped up. The house came with appliances. Half of them were broke. I had to replace them, including a refrigerator. The water heater ruptured. I had to replace the water heater. That was $2,800. The air conditioning went out. Had to pay $500 to get somebody to come out and fix that. It's just been one thing after the next after the next. The ceiling fan above me has stopped working because it's instead of being controlled with switches like any normal person would, this ceiling fan is controlled with a little remote control that broke. And even if I went out and bought a replacement remote, which is about $80, there's no way for me to program it to work with that because it's up in the ceiling. So that means I would have to pay somebody to come out and fix that. Meanwhile, one of the selling points of the house was that it came with solar panels on the roof. That was supposed to cut my electric bill by half. Well, guess what? It's only cutting like $11 to $20 a month off my electric bill because they're only capturing 220 kilowatts of electricity a month. So the going theory is that they're extremely dirty or there's something wrong with the connection or something, and so I need to pay to get somebody to go up there and clean my solar panels. Well, that's another $200 or $300 that I don't have. So I've been having to pay all that kind of stuff, and so with the exception of the arcade cabinet, which came out of my bonus this year, everything's kind of gone on the back burner. My initial plan was I was going to buy that arcade cabinet, and then what was left of my bonus I was going to use to build 8th's tabletop gaming room. And then, after I bought that arcade cabinet, his TV blew up. So have to replace that. So where are we at? I did start buying for his room, but didn't get to finish it. So where are we at? He has about 35 games. He doesn't have some of the bigger ones that he's wanted yet. Like there's a Bloodborne one that he doesn't have. There's a he doesn't have any Warhammer yet. Doesn't have any Dungeons and Dragons. He has a lot of licensed stuff. I've got an example here. Hold on a second. This is one of his. Pirates of the Caribbean Master of the Seas strategy game. That's one of his. And then some of them are actually, they're ones that I wanted him to have in the collection that he necessarily didn't want, old retro ones. Because one thing that y'all might not know about me is that when it comes to James Rolfe, I'm actually a bigger fan of his Board James videos than I am AVGN. Because I was big on board games when I was a kid. I didn't own many. Because one, my parents didn't make a lot of money, and two, I was an only child. And so they weren't going to play them with me. The only games that my parents cared about playing was Sorry, Monopoly, and what was the third one? Sorry, Monopoly, and there was one other one that's escaping me now. They liked playing Rook, the card game, and they liked playing Dominoes, but I wasn't allowed to play Dominoes because they felt that was an adult game. So all I could play with them was Sorry and Monopoly, and if I somehow conned them into buying me a board game, they wouldn't learn it to play it with me because they didn't want it. They didn't care anything about a Voltron board game or that kind of thing. And so I didn't have many board games because they didn't see the point in me having. And so when I went out, if I was lucky, I might get like a knockoff off-brand G.I. Joe instead of a real G.I. Joe. That's the kind of stuff I'd get. And if anything at all. Sometimes all I'd get was a quarter to get one of the bouncy balls out of the machines at the front of the grocery store. But if I wanted to play board games, I had to go over to a friend's house to do it. And I had a friend named Tom, who his family didn't have a whole lot of money either. For one thing, there was two siblings there. There was him and his younger brother, and so there was two kids to pay for. And secondly, their father was originally from Liverpool. He had immigrated to the States, become a U.S. citizen, and he was a mechanic who specialized in Asian cars, specifically Datsuns. And so he had kind of limited himself as far as his potential clientele at his repair shop. So he didn't have a tremendous amount of money either, just like my dad, who was a cop, didn't. But his mom was a thrift store person, and so big into thrifting. And she would find used board games and bring them home. And so he had a whole stack. And so when I wanted to play board games, I'd either go to his house or there was another kid up the street named Michael. And his father worked for Prudential Insurance or some big insurance company and made like $1,000 a week net, which back in the 80s was a lot of money. That was upper middle class. And you went down in their den downstairs, and they had a room that was nothing. It was like a closet that was nothing but wall-to-ceiling board games. They had hundreds. And so, we'd play board games there. But then I'd come home, and the only board game action I'd get is my grandmother would play Sorry with me, and she'd cheat. So, I had board game envy when I was a kid. When I got to be a teenager, my cousins, they were into not regular board games, but the tabletop stuff like Dungeons and Dragons, Risk, Castle Risk, and a little game called Magic the Gathering. and that's how I ended up getting into Magic the Gathering. And I played Magic the Gathering for a couple of years before I finally moved to Florida. Took all my cards with me, never found anybody local to play with, and so I just sold them all on eBay, and I haven't played Magic the Gathering since. But I said all that to say this. Part of 8th's collection are the old 70s and 80s board games that I always wanted that my parents wouldn't buy. One of them is one that I actually did own that was actually gifted to me when I was 7 years old because I was the ring bearer at one of my cousin's weddings. And they gave this to me as a gift for taking part in the wedding. And it was the board game based on the TV show Fang Face. I was a big fan of Fang Face when I was a kid. Even though it's a Scooby-Doo ripoff, I thought it was hilarious. It was one of my favorite shows when I was little. And so I had the Fang Face board game. But the other ones that I've gotten him, I got him a Battlestar Galactica board game. I got him the Dune 1984 board game. And some other old ones like that. But most of his stuff is newer stuff. I mean, this Pirates one is 20 years old, of course. But he has some newer stuff. He has the new version of Hero Quest. He has the new version of Heroescape. You know, that kind of thing. He also wants to get into painting the miniatures because he already does Gundam modeling. He does the Gundam models. And so he really likes the idea of painting the miniatures. But I didn't want him to spend a whole bunch of money on Warhammer stuff and then find out that he doesn't have a knack for it, that he's not any good at it. So I bought him Hero Quest and Heroescape so that he could practice with those little miniatures instead and see how that does for him. So we've got him some games, about 35. We got him his first set of shelves. And they were from IKEA and got 2 sets. One set is for the regular shaped box ones and one set is for the long boxes. Because if you do like what they did in the 80s and you just stack those long boxes one on top of each other, the cardboard will eventually sag and collapse. And then you have this ugly looking mess of a board game. So it's better to have a shelf where you can stack them vertically so that they're not squishing each other. So that's what we're going to do. But here's the kicker. What we do not have... My video froze for a second there. What we do not is we don't have a table and we don't have any chairs. We have our dining room table and chairs, but that's for the dining room. And that's the whole thing that they want to get away from. They don't want to play on the dining room table because that's going to, So, hold on a second. I'm getting some weird little error there. For some reason, my video feed... Am I locking? Let me know if I'm freezing on y'all's end, because the video feed on my end is freezing, and I'm not sure what's causing it. So I'm going to look and see if there's anything that's like slowing the machine down. I'm not seeing anything. My stream is lagging. Well, there has been a lot of bad weather stuff going on, so it may just be the internet, because I'm not seeing any processes that's causing a problem. So maybe that with all the bad weather we've had lately, the internet has taken a hit. I don't know. But anyway, we don't have a table, and we don't have chairs. They don't need fancy chairs up there. They can get away with really nice quality padded folding chairs, which you can get 4 of them for about $80. The cheapest gaming table that I have found is one called Project Iron something or other, and table that runs about if you get like the coasters and everything that goes with it, it runs about $1,000. So that's what we're going to be doing for donations for the foreseeable future, is helping 8th finish out his game room, his tabletop gaming room, because I'm not doing the game room tour until that room is ready to show. Here's what the entire second floor is going to be. There's a total of 5 rooms up there. There's a bathroom, his computer room, which doubles as his bedroom because he has one of those IKEA wraparound couches that turns into a bed. So you walk in there, it looks like an office, but at nighttime he pulls the mattress out and he sleeps on it. So combination computer room and bedroom. The middle room he wants to turn into his art/PC repair room. So he wants to have some shelves to hold PC parts and art supplies and stuff. And he's already got a work table, and he's going to need a bench or a chair to work in there, and something to hold art supplies for painting miniatures and such. So that's what that room's going to be. And then the third room down the hall, the third on the end, that's going to be his tabletop gaming room. Then you've got a bathroom, and you've got the loft, which is right up there, which is his video game and movie watching room. That one's all set up. That one's already got everything that it needs. It's done. But we're not doing the game room tour until we've done that. Now, one thing that we're not going to wait on are our plans for the garage. The garage we're basically going to turn into just a kind of a cool hangout drinking spot, because we've already got a wet bar that was there when we got here. So we're going to fix up the wet bar, and we're going to get some stools for the bar. We're going to get some arcadier stuff. Melvor! Well, thanks for the $5, Melvor. I hate to say it. I'm hoping that... let me give you a $1 bill. There you go. I'm hoping that things work out for DFW or wherever Retropalooza 11 is going to be, because I can't make it to the one next month. I'm not going to be able to make it. But I'm hoping that the one around October time, that y'all are able to find a venue for that, because I miss you guys. I haven't been able to see y'all in forever. I appreciate you stopping by. It's a shame, though. It's a shame you showed up this time, Melvor. 2 weeks ago, if you'd shown up, I was wearing your Soccer Moms Are Hot shirt. But today, I'm wearing Al Bundy's football jersey. So anyway, the table that we picked out, those things can get up like several $1,000s, like very expensive. We found one that if you buy it with all of the accoutrements, like the coasters and all that, it's about $1,100, comes with all. And then in the garage, we're going to fix up the bar, buy some stools, maybe buy another couch to go in there, and then the rest of it, we're going to get one of those arcade basketball things, the electronic basketball. We're going to get a home skee ball machine. We're going to fix up that other multicade in there and get it working, and maybe buy another multicade to go in there with it. Maybe even buy a full size and go and do some thrifting and find an older working pinball machine to go in there. So just basically all the arcadey stuff that we'd like to have that's not going to fit in this room will end up being in the garage. And we'll just turn the garage into a kind of a general hangout party room kind of thing. So that's the plan, but we're not going to hold off on the next game tour for that. That comes later. Everything that I'm doing right now goes into building 8's tabletop game room upstairs. So all donations, and for the foreseeable future, until I'm at least able to get him the table, is going to go towards that. So anything that y'all can send my way, I appreciate you. including Melvor with his alien there. Oh, brother. The Melvor. But how was Easter? We had Easter dinner, and that was about it. I mean, what are we going to do? Have an Easter egg hunt? 8's 22. We don't do that stuff anymore. So, I mean, really, my only remaining tradition for Easter nowadays is we'll have Easter dinner, and then 8th will go back to his room, and I will watch The Passion of the Christ and then go to bed. That's Easter for me. That's all we do. That Predator design looks absolutely horrible. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the new Predator design. He don't look right. He don't look right at all. Let's see. Let me catch up real quick. Because despite me saying, let me explain all this, y'all kept posting stuff anyway. Seventh, thoughts on Mad Stalker Full Metal. I have no idea what that is. You should consider clipping certain topics and making them videos. If I did that, nobody would watch them because, the only people that watch the replays of this are folks that are fans of the 7thCast but that are never free on Saturdays, so they rely on the replays. So what's the point of me chopping the replays up into sections when the only people that watch it are the ones that want to watch the whole thing anyhow? Were you in the Last of Us TV show, or is it what? I don't know, and I don't watch either of those. I saw some World War II strategy games at a comic and game store. He has Axis and Allies, 8th does, but it's the G.I. Joe version of Axis and Allies. I watched Clue the other night. I think Clue still is a great movie. I have it myself too. Did you get the tips from the last stream? Yes, I managed to get all that fixed. This is working again. It's all fixed. So feel free to use that link up there to send a little love my way. When you donate to that, I get it. Now that it's fixed, I get it the same night. And instead of taking 30% like YouTube does, it's just a few cents that's taken. So that's the best way to go. If you can't do it that way, if you don't have a Streamlabs account, then feel free to hit the gray button with the $sign on it. I appreciate those too. It's just those take a little bit longer to get because you have to wait for your balance to get up over $100 before YouTube will cut you a check. Let's see here. Thoughts on Final Fantasy IX? It's one of the better ones. I liked it better than 8. I can say that at least. Ain't no Scouser has an expertise in Asian cars. That's typical. Well, I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. He was from Liverpool. He was originally from Liverpool. You couldn't understand a word he said, and he was an expert on Datsun cars. I mean, he could also do Toyota and Honda and what have you, Hyundai, but for whatever reason, his particular area of expertise were Datsuns. And eventually, he was losing money hand over fist and couldn't afford to keep his shop open, so he sold it. And then he ended up working 2 jobs. I think he worked in the Walmart oil center, and he worked for, I want to say, Pep Boys. Congratulations from Clean Frame. Congratulations to me, because after grinding off and on 13 years because of life, love, friendships, I finally made it to 99 platinums and will be playing Sekiro for my 100th. Well, good luck with that. Don't worry about being late, Blaze. We had an Easter egg hunt at my grandparents' place. I won $30. Wow, okay. So I missed the last stream before this one. What do you think of Switch 2? I didn't try to pre-order one. I'll worry about it next year. There's just not enough in the launch lineup that I'm interested in, and I want to let the Fallout land where it may when it comes to all the digital crap they're doing with that handheld. So I'll see where the dust settles next year Eighth isn't interested in having one right now either. Right now, we're solely focused on finishing up that game room upstairs, the tabletop game room. So, whatever you can spare, appreciate you. Because once that room is finished up, as soon as we get that table and we got the chairs, the following weekend we'll be filming the game room tour. But we're not going to film the game room tour until that room is done. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, Joe. I'm just telling you that's the way it was. And his mom, Tom's mom, she had signed up for a pen pal type thing at like her local library, and that's how she met the dude in Liverpool. And so they got married, and that helped him get his U.S. citizenship. And when he came over here, he bought a building and turned it into his shop. And he had that shop for years and years and years. And then somewhere around in the 90s is when everything kind of went for him. And I hated it for him, but, is what it is. Sometimes unexpected changes happen. I mean, look at me. Yeah, we have the Switch OLED too. We have the original Switch, the Switch OLED, and we have a Switch Lite. So, I'm not in any hurry to buy the Switch too. I'm just not. Sorry, 7th, but I'm broke as F, can't donate. That's all right. That's all right. That's okay. It's going to be all right. Not every stream can be a 6-hour stream. That's what you missed, Chris. We hit 175, I think, last 2 weeks ago. 170 something. So I ended up having to do a full 6-hour stream. I was in tremendous pain, but I made it work. I made it happen. I don't think that's going to happen this week. Because the main reason it happened last week was because Max88 came in here and donated $100 because he wanted to see me mess with Billy on Billy's Whatnot auction. So that's what I did. I bought up most of what Billy was auctioning live on the 7thCast. And at one point, I actually had Billy streaming live on the phone, and he was on our stream and was reading the comments in the chat live through my phone. It was funny. It was funny. Which is why it kind of surprised me to see Melvor pop in and then donate $5 and then say absolutely nothing. Just give me an alien emoji and then off on his way. I haven't gotten to see them in a long time. The last Melvor I haven't seen probably since 2019 was the last time I saw Melvor. But the rest of the guys, I haven't seen them since October of 2023 because I wasn't able to, I just bought this house. I didn't have the money to go last October. And I don't have the reason I'm not going to the one in Houston next month is because I don't have the money. And I don't have the money because I bought, I decided, we need to stop putting all this stuff off and get this house the way we wanted it. So bought the arcade unit and started buying up the stuff for his game room. F. Billy. He had a Whatnot stream last night, and I had intended on buying some stuff from it, but then I realized no, I can't do that because that's money that's going to take away from the table that I want to buy 8th. So, your $5 is going to go towards his $1,000 gaming table because he doesn't want to use like a regular dining room table, and he doesn't want one of those fold-up ones that you bump into it and it sprays pieces everywhere. He wants a good one. Computer trying to reboot on me. Piece of crap. So that's where we're at. Hey Melvor, how's fixing the basement going? I'm missing the podcast, son. You gonna hurry up and fix that, or I'm gonna have to come up there and have some words with you. Because you realize, Melvor, I live in Temple now. I'm only 2 hours away now, son. I can be up there any weekend I want. I can hop in my Challenger and be there in 2 hours. So you just mind your P's and Q's and hurry up and finish that basement, or there are going to be consequences and repercussions. Mess with me, I'll show up unannounced on your front porch and see how you like them apples. I've been threatening to do that to Billy for years because he won't take me chasing. He says I'm too old and fat and wouldn't be able to walk around in the Texas heat. He's afraid I'd have a heart attack and die at the flea market. So he won't take me chasing. That hurts my feelings, man. Hurts my feelings, Melvor. Where's the love, man? Where's the love? Anyway. That's another thing. They ain't come down to see me either, Melvor, except for Billy. Billy stopped by at my old house a little over a year ago because he wanted to see my modded pinball table because I had a Munsters table and a Gremlins table on it. Digital pinball. So he stopped by for about an hour to play my pinball machine, and then he went home. Other than that, the guys haven't been back out to see me in 8 years. 8 years, Melvor. Where's the love? Where's the love? I'm just saying. I send y'all $10 every month. Where's the love? Yes, I'm still in Texas. What do you think about streamers like Darkside Phil giving themselves fake tips? I think it's BS. I would never do that. That's shady as hell. But then again, I don't live off of tips and donations. It helps me to make the show better. Everything that y'all donate to me goes towards something that's going to help with the show. It could be that eventually we could do tabletop role-playing live streams instead of just the 7thCast. We could do live streams of playing a new board game. We could do all sorts of stuff with that room. All sorts of stuff. We could have party nights in the garage when the garage gets set up. Have all sorts of fun with that. Hope you disinfected the place after he left. I didn't smell nothing, Melvor. I didn't smell nothing. He was squeaky clean. Squeaky clean. I also had a gift for him and that's another reason why he actually bothered to stop by on his way home from San Antonio or wherever he was at the time. I had bought him these 3 Munsters action figures. Not like great big ones. They were like the ones made to look like Kenner figures. And I had Munster. I had Herman, Grandpa, and Lily. And I bought them for him and had told him that I had them waiting on him, that I'd forgot to bring them with me to Retropalooza. And so that night that he came to see the pinball machine, I gave them to him then. And that was the last time I saw any of y'all. And of course, since I've moved into the new house, nobody's come by. Nobody. You should be glad they haven't come to see you. Did you see their movie? You were the best part of... Oh, cut it out. That movie is fun. I enjoy that movie. Super 7... Yeah, those. I think it's those. It's the ones that are 3.5 inch that look like Kenner Star Wars figures. But there were the Munsters, and there was 3 of them. What do you think of the price of the Switch 2? I think the Switch is too expensive, and I think its games are really too expensive. Well, no, the handheld's a decent price. I ain't concerned about that. But the games are too expensive, or at least a lot of them are. I wouldn't want to pay that kind of money for games that look like that. Not when I can pay $49 and get a game like that looks like Expedition 33. Are you kidding me? It's the weirdest thing, Melvor. I can buy those guys gifts, and those gifts will magically disappear. And that started with Wood. When I first met Wood, I gifted him my copy of Cannon Spike for the Dreamcast. That's one of the more expensive games for that system. I think it's up in the hundreds now. He had no idea what it was. And so just a couple days later, after I gifted him that, they did a video out in Billy's front yard showing all the stuff that they got at Retropalooza. And he showed that game. He said, I don't really know much about it, and I can't remember who gave it to me. So then I bought Jay a collector's edition of a fighting game. I can't remember which one it was. I bought him, on one occasion, the Blu-ray of that 80s movie, My Science Project. He said he was going to do that one with a video on that one with his brother where they review movies. He never has. Makes me think that he's lost it. Here's the one that really kind of sticks in my craw, and I've mentioned it to Billy several times, and he pretends like he didn't hear me say anything. I went and hunted this thing down, and I couldn't find one complete in box, but it was pristine, clean, still worked. I found him that Gizmo Gremlins Furby that talks and moves around and all that stuff, right? I gift him that. Never shows up on his Gremlins shelf of all of his Gremlins toys. My feeling is that he turned right around and sold it to somebody else on eBay and just doesn't have the heart to tell me that he did. So hopefully these Munster figures will actually end up on his wall somewhere instead of being resold, because I have the feeling that a lot of the stuff that I've gifted them over the years has ended up getting sold on eBay. Anyway. Meanwhile, the stuff that they've gifted me, they deny any knowledge of it. Like, for instance, I know for a fact that it was Billy that anonymously sent me that Vectrex. I know it was him. Because a couple of weeks before that thing, maybe 2 months before that thing shows up, he asks me out of the blue, hey, if there's a console that you don't have that you could have right now for free, what would it be? And I said it would either be a Vectrex or a 2-port Atari 5200. 2 months later, a Vectrex anonymously shows up on my porch. No note, no nothing. He still denies that it was him, but I know it was. And the reason that he did it was because he felt guilty about all the stuff that I let, the $600+ worth of games I let him walk out of the house with for nothing. Well, $50. And so that was his way of trying to pay me for all that stuff that he went out the door with. And same thing with Jay. Jay gave me a Sony Trinitron 20-inch. But the Gizmo Furby one hurt a little bit. I had to put a lot of research into finding that thing, and even with it being open box, it cost me over $100 to get him that thing, and he couldn't have looked more disinterested when I handed it to him. Like, oh, thanks. I mean, I should have asked him if he was in the market for one before I got it. But, I found out that it existed, and I just got it in my head. He needs to have that in his Gremlins collection. And so I didn't bother to stop and ask him if he actually cared about it. I just went and bought it for him. Disappeared off the face of the earth. I love him to death, but damn. Can't believe Nintendo once saved the industry is now destroying fit. Well, they're not helping. Let's put it that way, Black Metal. Did you see gameplay of Bungie's Marathon? It looks like it's going to be Concord 2. Yeah, it doesn't interest me at all. My memory of Marathon was that it was a ripoff of Doom. Doom. It was a boomer shooter. Turning it into what they've turned it into, you already know I'm not interested. What is your pick for worst console of all time? Probably the Philips CDI, because it barely had anything to justify its existence. Are you going to play Kingdom Come 2 after you get done with Expedition 33? It's like a Bethesda game that didn't suck. I don't even have the first one. I used to have the first one, and 8th sold it because he didn't like the fact that you had to spend so much time doing what he considered stupid stuff, like having to bathe and keep your beard shaved and just stuff that in his mind was a waste of game time. And so he has specifically told me that he does not want Deliverance 2 because he feels it's going to have the same problems, that he's going to have to spend so much of his time bathing and shaving and doing little stupid things that he considers a waste of game time. 7 thoughts on the Fight Night series. Never played them. I like the Fright Night movies, but Fight Night boxing games, didn't play them. Don't send those fools anything. Well, it's not even that. Like Melvor, I gifted Chris a complete in-box Super Famicom version of UN Squadron. It was the Japanese Super Famicom, complete in-box, had the manual, had the plastic insert, had everything. It was pristine. There was not a single wrinkle on that box. I delivered it to Billy at Retropalooza 2023, and according to Chris, he never received it. And of course, he ended up having to sell most of his collection to pay for some various things not long after that happened. But I don't think he ever got it from Billy. I don't know what happened to it. I gave it to Billy, and according to Chris, he never got it. And see, that was something that Jay told me, that a lot of times if you gift either one of them something at Retropalooza, that it'll end up in Billy's garage and no one will ever know where it is. Yes, Area 88. I bought him a sealed copy of Area 88 because I figured he would eventually find the regular UN Squadron loose at a pawn shop or whatever somewhere. So I wanted to get him something that he wasn't going to find at a flea market. So I got him that box complete Area 88. I imported it from Japan. Wasn't cheap. Handed it to Billy. Chris says he never got it. Have you seen any good movies lately? No, I haven't seen nothing. Haven't been going to the theater because there hasn't been anything interesting enough to warrant me wanting to go to the theater. I'm interested in Sinner. But again, I'm saving all my pennies for 8th's game room. I already spent up all my fun money on Billy's most recent, well, not most recent, but the whatnot he did before the one Friday. I bought like $200 and something in total. I spent the money you guys donated and then actually went a little bit over. And so that came out of my personal funds. And so, I don't really have any fun money left to spend. And of course, I've had to replace 8th's TV because his TV blew up. So, I don't really have the money for going to see movies right now. Can a Jedi beat a Kryptonian? I highly doubt it. If Punch-Out came back on the Switch, to what new offensive stereotype fighters would you like? I don't know. I think it's kind of run the gamut, hasn't it? You're a genuine person, so you think that others, especially people whom you seem to share a passion with, are genuine. I don't think it's that. I just think when you don't live next door, it's easy to lose track of people. I think it's as simple as that. You get into your own world and your own issues and your own things, and easy to forget somebody is 2 hours away. I don't take offense to that. I have friends that I've unintentionally done that to myself. What are your thoughts on Steve Mongo McMichael? He lost his battle with ALS. I thought he was a funny, entertaining guy. I didn't think much of his wrestling skills. Sounds like the next Game Chasers episode just needs to be in Billy's garage. Well, I would imagine that he's probably sold most, if not all, of that. Billy has a terrible memory. You know, I can go and I can tell you just about every place that I picked up all that stuff back there and the circumstances around it. I can tell you every, movies that I went to see at the theater. I can tell you who I went to see it with, where I was, when it was. Billy has 3 times now tried to give me the tabletop role-playing game Pandemic. He already gave it to 8th at a Retropalooza a couple of years ago, but he forgets it every time, and so every time I turn around, he's asking me if he can send me one of these. Somehow, at some point, he found a whole crate of the role-playing game Pandemic. So he has a whole ton of those that he doesn't, for whatever reason, doesn't want to put them on eBay to try to sell them, and so he just gives them away. And I keep telling him, you already gave me one. Thoughts on Billy Mitchell wrecking Carl Jobst or whatever? I don't get involved in watching all that. I've met Billy Mitchell. I met him once at Retropalooza, and I know all the stories about him and all that. All I can tell you is that he was a very friendly person when I met him. Every time he walked past our booth, because I was helping Captain Retro, he had stopped to ask how we were doing. Are we having fun? Anything that he could do to help? Blah blah blah. The only time I got close to making fun of him for anything was I did a video about that Retropalooza, and I pretended to not know who he was and that I thought he was a John Wick cosplayer. That's the only thing I said about him. I didn't say anything about the controversy surrounding him. Not even anything about King of Kong. Nothing. I try not to be a judgmental person. He hasn't ever done anything to me. All he's ever done to me was shake my hand and talk about video games and ask me if there's anything he could do to help me out. And that's it. That's the limit of my interaction with him. From what I've watched, Expedition 33 is Game of the Year material. Not even kidding. If you're a fan of Japanese RPGs and you're a fan of Souls-likes, that's a game you really need to go out and buy right now. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 does still have the having to eat to not starve to death and that kind of stuff. It's an immersive sim, but it's pretty easy to keep on top of it. You can even skip the first one, technically. Well, we'll see. Will you be getting a physical of Oblivion Remastered? If it comes out, yes, I will. Do you think... Now, I have skipped Indiana Jones because of how much of it is not on the disc. I think that's BS. Why buy it physical if only a tiny portion of it is actually on the disc? Do you think Sony should stop focusing so much on live service games? Yes. For God's sakes, yes. Sony, your bread and butter for decades now has been awesome single-player experiences. Stick to what you know. Are you allowed to eat spaghetti? Yeah, but I can't have any meat in it. And it has to be wheat spaghetti, not regular spaghetti. That Pandemic thing is a good example. I have friends the same. I hope you pull him up on it, though. Okay. What are old game tropes that you're glad are gone? making a conversion of an arcade game that only gives you 3 lives and no continues. That's a trope that I'm glad is gone. Because how are you really replicating the arcade experience if I'm not allowed to put as many quarters in as I want to put in, you know? What are you talking about a tiny portion being on the disc? Indiana Jones is an over 100 gig game. And maybe 20 gigs of it is actually on the disc, and the rest of it you have to download from Microsoft. So what's the point of buying the disc? Helldivers 2 is a good live service game. Well, yeah, even a broken clock is right twice a day. They looked into that one. Is it true that the Philips CDI wasn't primarily a game? Yeah, it was mainly an educational tool. Had a bunch of edutainment stuff on it. Like, not necessarily this particular thing, but like encyclopedia type stuff is what that system was primarily known for. In fact, the original controller for it wasn't even a controller. It looked like a TV remote with an analog stick in the middle. That's one of the reasons why I don't currently own one. The last Retropalooza I went to, I had the opportunity to buy one for $350, but there's one version of the CDI actually has the CMOS battery hard burned into the system to where you can't replace it, you can't swap it out. And so that system eventually will absolutely die, and it's massive expensive to try to fix it. So you want the other version of it that doesn't have that. But I'm not sure which version it was or which version they had, so I didn't buy it. Because I would have it just to put it up on the shelf. For example, Neo Geo CD, right? I would buy the Neo Geo CD to have it in my collection, but I would probably never hook it up and play it because my Polymega plays Neo Geo CDs. What are new gaming tropes that you can't stand in single player? Endless tutorial stuff. Tutorials that go on forever. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. And I know with some games, you can turn it off. You can turn off notifications for tutorial. But you still can't skip the tutorial that they put in because they make it part of the plot. And sometimes it goes on forever. Another one I don't like is cost-cutting measures where you end up fighting the same boss or a variation on the same boss more than twice in one game. A good example of that would be 2018's God of War. The only reason why I bought the OG Switch was for physical media, and now they want to do this stupid key card nonsense. I think most of the games that are doing the key card thing are indie games anyway. But considering how much of the original Switch's library was made up of physical releases of indie games, talk about pissing on your own audience. Did you like Indiana Jones? I haven't actually played it. But when the Sony version only has 20% of the game on the disc, I might as well just play it for free on Game Pass, since I'm already paying whatever per month for Game Pass anyway. Mario and Zelda games on there are old school memes. Do you think Switch 2 will be the last console that has true physical games? It barely has that now. Can I check your trophies? I got to where I don't show my trophies anymore because it became stupid. And on top of that, I don't chase after them anymore. I don't have the time. So I'm kind of gotten behind. So, I just don't bother with it. There's nothing super impressive in there. Trust me. I've got 174, 175 platinums, and some of them are easy platinums that were on the easier side because at the time I was in a competition with Jay because he bet me that I couldn't beat him his platinum count within a year. And so I did it in less than a year by platting anything I could get my hands on, including stuff like Mr. Masagi and My Name is Mayo and that kind of stuff. There was lots of legit games too, like Far Cry Primal and other stuff like that, but I also did the little dollar games, which he had some in there too, so I didn't feel guilty about it. I figured if he can do it, I can do it too. I don't eat Chinese food anymore, Alaskan dude, because of the issues with my stomach health. I do love Chinese food, but I wouldn't be able to eat it nowadays. Do you have a preference for games with or without bosses? I'll take it either way. I don't have to have bosses. But if there are going to be bosses, I want them to be unique and not just repeating the same crap over and over. What games annoyed you where they just litter the game with too many notes to read that it felt like filler and you said, no, I'll not be reading this? A lot of Western RPGs. I can't name one off the top of my head because I'm tired, but what's up with your stomach? I have all sorts of stomach problems. I have gallbladder problems. I have acid reflux. Irritable bowel syndrome. On and off fatty liver disease. Just various things. Like, I'm hurting right now sitting this way. I'm hurting right now. And I will be, when this stream is over, I will be sore across here. And I'll have to go lean back in my recliner, and it'll eventually go away after a few hours. Was Tomba a 7 out of 7? I'd say it was a 5.5. I didn't care too much for the gameplay of that game. Thoughts on The Witcher 3? You know, I can recognize it for the classic that it is, but at the same time, every time I start to play it, I end up getting distracted by something else. I have maybe 10 hours total in that game. What's an actual good, preferably unique PlayStation game released in the last 2 years? Astrobot. You may say, oh, well, that's not unique, but if you haven't played it, I'd say au contraire. It has a lot of things that you simply will not experience on any other current 3D platformer. It's a lot of fun. Music's fantastic. What do you think of all the old WWF pay-per-views being on Netflix? Have you gone back to watch any old shows? No. I have not. I used to have WWE Network. And mostly what I watched on it were documentaries, not old pay-per-views. One thing I did do, though, was I went back and found the Saturday night main event that me and my dad attended, because I was curious to see if I could spot me and him in the stands if I was good with the freeze frame. Couldn't find us. I did do that once. That's a good point, QB. Yep. Thank you, Clean Frame. We have 2 hours remaining, folks. 2 hours remaining. We have had one single $5 donation from Melvor. We are $45 away from extending by 1 hour. So just remember, this is fixed. This up here works now. What's different in the main game? A lot of things. It plays like the demo that came with your PS5. Only it's a full game with multiple levels, different new abilities that the demo didn't have, all sorts of collectibles to collect. It's just everything that made the demo great to the 10th power. Has 8th played AI Limit? I don't believe so. Are there any Xbox games you would pick up on PS5 if they got ported over? Magic Powers. Not anything this generation so far, because I don't really care about Halo and that sort of thing. There's some third-party stuff from the 360 I'd very much like to see on the PS5, like Infinite Undiscovery, Lost Odyssey, that sort of thing. The Last Remnant. And I know some of them have been released digitally. I have The Last Remnant digital on PS4. I'm talking about physical remaster releases. And of course, if they release a physical of Oblivion that has more than 20% of it on the disc, I will purchase that. But so far, that seems to be what Microsoft is going to do, because that's what they already do with the physical releases for the Series X. That's why I haven't bought any physical releases on the Series X. One, they all are day one Game Pass, and two, you don't get the whole game on the disc. You get a fraction of it, and then you have to download it off the network anyway. So why buy it? Just play it on Game Pass. They shoot themselves in the foot. They destroyed themselves in the eyes of collectors. Harry Muff, but does Astrobot do it better than Mario or Kirby? Were you meaning fair enough? Or trying to be snarky? I'm not afraid of Harry Muff. I was born in the 70s, son. Does Astrobot do it better than Mario and Kirby? I'm not going to say he does it better, but it's just as good. What a disappointment to hear. I was looking forward to Indy. I still haven't played it. 8th told me it was good. 8th liked it. In fact, 8th says that he doesn't particularly care that it only has 20% on the disc. He would still like to have it for PS5. So, I think I'll wait until it hits that $20 mark, and then I'll snatch it up. Like, I'll get it used from GameFly, Because 6 months from now, GameFly will have it for $29 or something like that. And then I'll pick it up. Not picking up anything right now, though, because I'm saving up to, do 8th's tabletop room. The fact that I ended up with Expedition 33 was an accident because I forgot that I'd pre-ordered it. What's the worst so-called gaming news site in your opinion? Polygon. Polygon and Kotaku tied for first. What are games that would make you want the new Switch? New Zelda. New Mario Odyssey. That's about it, really. I don't really care about Mario Kart. Donkey Kong interests me, And I prefer 2D Metroid to 3D Metroid. So, did you ever like games like XCOM or Marvel Midnight Suns? Oh, strategy games? Sure. Sure. I used to be into Warcraft before it became World of Warcraft. I liked StarCraft too. I would say Astrobot is a love, and I liked Japanese strategy games like Dark Wizard on the Sega CD, Shining Force, that sort of thing. I would say Astrobot is a love letter to the Mario games and gets to sit at the table with the platform greats. Agreed. It's earned that. Thoughts on Destiny YouTubers slowly leaving the Destiny franchise and covering new games? That was inevitable. I mean, have you heard any talk about there being a Destiny 3 or additional DLC for Destiny 2? No. You got to have... YouTubers have to have new content to play off of. And they obviously don't seem to care that much about Marathon, so they're not waiting on that, and they're moving on to other things instead of sticking with Destiny. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's see. What are some of the other games tabletop games that 8th has that he currently can't play because he doesn't have a game table? Yeah, if you go up there right now, it's just an empty room with a stack of board games in the corner. Because we don't have a table, we don't have chairs. And the shelves haven't gotten here yet. So, that's what's going on. What's going on? Let's see. What does he have so far? You've already seen he's got that Pirates of the Caribbean game. And let's see here. He has an Aliens tabletop game. He has Hero Quest. He has an Indiana Jones tabletop game. He has a Rocketeer tabletop game. He has a Pac-Man tabletop game. He has Monopoly, the Godzilla edition. He has a tabletop game based on Disney's The Haunted Mansion. He has a Goosebumps tabletop game. He has a Christmas-themed game, in case they ever have a Christmas party, called Santa's Rooftop Scramble. He has a tabletop game called Spectre, where you're competing to be the next Bond villain. And like I said, he's also got classic games. So he has 13 Dead End Drive. He has the Super Mario version of Life. He's got a tabletop game that's based on the Buzz Lightyear movie because it was $3. He has a tabletop game based on My Hero Academia. He has a tabletop game based on the new Jumanji movies with The Rock and whatnot. He has a tabletop game that's called Godzilla Tokyo Disaster or something like that. He has the new version of Fireball Island, which was like a classic from the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. He's got Axis and Allies, but it's a G.I. Joe edition. He has Clue, but it's a version that's based on the show The Office, because 8th is a big fan of The Office. He has a chess set that's based on Batman. He has the game Sorry. He has Heroscape. He has the newest version of Electronic Battleship. And then he also has the Pandemic that Billy gave him. He has that. He has my Fang Face game that I had when I was a kid. He has a board game from the 90s that was based on Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was his favorite Disney animated movie. He has the board game that's based on the 1984 version of Krull. He has a tabletop role-playing game based on the 2006 or 7 movie Beowulf. He has a Harry Potter themed Scrabble set. He has the 2018 WWE Road to WrestleMania board game that we got for cheap and mainly bought it because Roddy Piper is on the back, and you know how we feel about Roddy Piper. He's got the role-playing game based on The Shining. He's got a tabletop role-playing game based on Disney's Gargoyles. We got him the role-playing game based on the movie Jaws, but I think I'm going to have to dispute it because it's been 2 weeks and the dude hasn't even put it in the mail yet. So I think I'm going to have to dispute that one. He's got a 1978 board game based on Battlestar Galactica, a 1983 board game based on the movie Krull. Amazing artwork on that one too. He has a board, and finally he has a board game that we bought him when he was little. That's called Disney's Magic Kingdom, and it's kind of like playing the game of life, sort of, but you're moving around the Magic Kingdom, riding all the rides and stuff. And he loved it when he was a kid. So when he said he wanted to get back into tabletop role playing, that was one of the first things I got him, was getting him that game again. So that's everything he's got, and it's just sitting in a big pile upstairs in the floor because we got no gaming table, we got no chairs, and the shelves don't show up till Wednesday. And even then, since he already has so many games, I don't know if the 2 shelves we bought him will even hold it all. Don't know. That's why we need your help, because otherwise it's going to take me forever to save up to get him that stupid table. And I don't blame him for not wanting to use like a El Cheapo dining room table or a fold-out. Not with some of the expensive games that he's got. He's got some games that are over $100, and I wouldn't want him playing on some fold-up thing where the pieces get thrown all over the room and fall down through the air conditioning vent and that kind of stuff. Get chewed on by the dog. Thoughts on Croc on PS1? Didn't care for it. I don't care that it was originally like a 3D Yoshi game and they couldn't get the license. I just never thought that game was all that good. What's an ending so bad it ruined the show or movie for you? That found footage movie, The Devil Within or whatever, that didn't even show you the ending of the story. It gave you a link to a website to get the rest of the story, and that website no longer exists. So there's no point in watching the movie now. Do you ever try to come up with ways to get the console wars restarted so that we can make YouTube interesting again? No, we tried that once a few years ago with MLD, and me and MLD went back and forth a little bit, but because MLD wasn't getting the views that he used to get, he lost interest, and that was all there was. What's your favorite Chinese food dish? Pepper steak with fried rice. Not pork fried rice, but the fried rice that has little chunks of scrambled egg in it. Whatever kind of fried rice that is. Hi, High Five for Life. How's it going? Fix the donation thing again. It's working. 7th, did you or 8th play Mandragora Whispers of the Witch Tree? I highly recommend it for Symphony of the Night and Dark Medieval Fantasy fans. Is that a video game or a tabletop role-playing game? If it's a video game, what system is it on? And is it a Metroidvania or is it a Soulsvania? Because I'll play Metroidvanias, but I don't really do the Soulsvanias. Video game, all platforms. I'll look it up. Of course, I don't have the money to buy it, but I'll look it up. I don't really have the money to do anything right now. And I'm not, and even if I had, some fun money to go see a movie or whatever I was going to do, I wouldn't spend it because I've made a promise to the kid. That's the way I do. Soulsvania, but it doesn't feel like one. It's easier. Okay. What's the most you'd ever spend on a retro game? I think the most I've ever spent on one was $100. I don't think I've ever gone higher than that. And yet I really, really want Mighty Final Fight. Go figure. But let me tell you, you're not getting Mighty Final Fight for $100. But, you know, I'm not buying any retro games. I'm not going to be going to any more of Billy's Whatnot streams. None of that until I have that game table. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Let me see here. I can't see around the microphone. Tabletop Gaming Table Project Iron something? Is it Project Ironwood? Project Ironside. The base unit costs $5.99, and then you have, by the time you buy all the extra stuff like the cup holders and the little magnetic trays that hold all your cards and pieces and stuff, it ends up being right at $1,000. That includes the shipping, like 1,100. So that's what we're currently saving up for. You can go with other brands, but other brands, they tend to start at like 900 and go up. And it's the same thing. You have to pay for all the extra pieces, and by the time you get all those extra pieces, then you're well over $1,000. So, is what it is. And another thing that sucks is it just assumes that you're going to have 6 players. So, it doesn't allow you to just buy 4 of the accessories, like 4 of the cup holders or 4 of the deck holders, 4 of the dice holders. You have to order 6 in all. So by the time you select all of that, what was going to be an $899 table it ends up being $1,300 plus shipping. So, I only ask you guys to donate when it's something that's supposed to help the show. And that's what I'm hoping to do is to, once we've got him established where he can have his friends over to play games, that me and him could buy gear to suspend a camera over the game table so you can have an overhead view of it and watch me and him play a game, or watch me and him and maybe one of his friends play, or even just talk about particular games, like review them, show how they work, that sort of thing. So even just something to give you something else to watch here besides this. Because I've been doing mostly this since I finished Tray for Life, because that I don't think you guys realize how much work that took out of me. I was exhausted when that was done. I mean, I haven't even produced a new song since I finished that, because I got so burnt out on how much time I spent sitting at this table, at this computer desk. And so when I'm not doing the 7thCast, I haven't been working on videos because I've been just inundated with stuff at my job, and I just haven't had the motivation to do anything new. But the idea of being able to do stuff with that tabletop room interests me. The idea of being able to do stuff with the party room in the garage interests me. Stuff like that. I do want to start doing some retro gaming live streaming. I mean, I've got all that set up. It's just a matter of having the time and doing it. I'll sell you my copy of Mighty Final Fight for $99 if you say that Sony sucks. I don't have $99. Otherwise, I'd buy it from you, because that's the number one on my wish list right now. But I can't spend the $99, man. Not until 8th has that room finished. Nothing else. Nothing else for me. Even if it takes me a year, I'm not buying another movie. I'm not buying another game. I'm not going to see any movies. Not buying anything else on Temu. None of that until he has that table and 4 chairs. Period. 7th, I backed up the Armello board game on Kickstarter, and it's supposed to ship in June this year, so I'm pretty excited. It's a tabletop version of the video game. I remember Armello. I didn't play it, but I think I might have bought a digital version of it and then never played it. Is that the RPG, like strategy RPG that has like little animals? I want to say that's what it is. But yeah, I'd love to have Mighty Final Fight, but I can't afford to buy it off you right now. I'm sorry. Can't happen. And yes, I know it's going to cost me like $375 anywhere else, but can't do it. I got a $1,000 table to buy. Yeah, it's like a red wall. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'll tell you something else. Don't expect to see me wear this on the 7thCast anymore, because this football jersey is not as breezy as I remembered them being. I'm getting kind of hot in this thing. So I don't think I'll wear it on the 7thCast anymore. I'll stick to T-shirts. Trying to think of anything else that's happened in the world of gaming that's actually relevant. Not really that much that's happened, though, since the whole Switch thing. I mean, I kept my word. I told you I wasn't going to pre-order it, and I didn't. 8th didn't care about it. All 8th cares about is that room, so I didn't bother. And again, for those of you who were late, here's one example of the stuff that he has. Pirates of the Caribbean Masters of the Seas strategy game. This is the most recent one that he picked up. All the rest of them are upstairs. See, my house is the downstairs area, which is this room, the kitchen, a half bath, the master bedroom, which right now is just used for a guest room. If one of his friends comes over and doesn't feel like driving all the way back home, then they crash in there. It's also got some stuff in boxes that we still haven't found a place to put. And that's where the master bathroom is. Why is it done that way? Because my back is so screwed up that I can't sleep on a regular bed anymore. The only way I can sleep is in a reclined position. So I sleep on one of those recliners. So my game room doubles as my bedroom. So what that eventually means is that I have the possibility, if we get to the point where he doesn't have friends coming over to spend the night, for whatever reason, I could just turn that master bedroom into an office and move all of my 7thCast stuff, including this desk, in there, and then that'd give me more room out here to, put in another arcade machine, or put in another pinball, put up more shelves for more games, whatever. Or I could just throw a bunch more shelves in the master bedroom and turn that into game room number 3. And there's a lot of things that you could do. But for right now, when you go in there, all you have is like a little twin bed, just big enough for somebody to crash for the night on, with a 50-inch TV with a PS4 hooked up to it that has all of my streaming apps on it. So if they want to lay there and watch Netflix or something, they can. And then there's a bunch of boxes lying around. So eventually I'll probably use that room for more than that. But for right now, that's all it is. I remember a video of some guys doing a tabletop war game of Gettysburg with the table as the battlefield. The table that I'm getting 8th is not that big. The table that I want to get 8th is just big enough for 6 people to sit at. It's only about 6 feet long. They make like 8 and 9 foot long ones for real. If you're wanting to do like a really, really super big and intricate game of like Warhammer or whatever. But honestly, I don't think you'd be able to fit a table that long in that room. You know, it's not the hugest room. And he's told me that he doesn't plan to need anything more than that 6 feet anyway. So, you know, if he's going to do Warhammer, I guess he intends for it to be, the campaigns to be more compact and not as spread out where you need, you know, a 12-foot long table to hold it all. Because I don't think that room is even. I think that room's only about 14 feet long anyway. So, you know, if we had like a 12-foot table, that'd leave you with barely any room to be able to scooch in and away from it with the chairs. I mean, we're already going to be trying to maximize the room in there by using folding chairs instead of chairs that are going to have to be pushed up under the table all the time. Good night, Fearless Joe. Appreciate the offer. Sorry I couldn't take you up on it. If he was serious, $99 is a fantastic price for Mighty Final Fight, but I can't do it. Can't do it. I'll just have to wait until after all this is done and bite the bullet and pay what it's actually worth. Because you're not going to. That's not one you're going to find for $2 at a yard sale. I'm sorry, that's not happening. That is not happening. So what else y'all want to talk about? We got another hour and a half to go. Because it doesn't look like we're going to be extending tonight. Maybe if Max88 was here, but he's not here tonight. So 3 hours is probably all you're going to get out of me. And I shouldn't expect any different because it's the weekend after a holiday. Fun money is not typically something that anyone has following a holiday. So I get it. I get it. Are the animated Justice League films the best DC films? For the most part, yes. With the exception of the Dark Knight trilogy. And the first 2 Superman movies. But that's my personal opinion because I grew up with those and I love them. Have you played Stellar Blade yet? We have it. I have not played it. It's up in 8th room. Are you starting to notice a trend? The last game that I actually got to play was the physical edition of the Castlevania DS game collection that Limited Run just put out. I'd actually forgotten that I'd prepaid for that, and it showed up a few weeks ago, and I've played some of it. That's it. That's it. Now, I did download Oblivion Remastered on my Series X, but I haven't played it today. I haven't played it because you would think that because I have today off that I'll sit and play games for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on Saturdays, but I don't because I know that I'm going to be doing this show. And so I will. What I tend to do is I'll sleep till around 2 in the afternoon, and then I'll get up, and then around 3 I'll eat dinner, and then 2 hours later I start to get ready to do the show, and that's it. If I do any gaming, it's usually on Sundays. But I won't be able to do that tomorrow because I'll be spending the day setting up my new company laptop. The company sent me a laptop refresh, and I have to get that set up before Monday when I start work. Are you going to go see James Gunn's Superman? That depends. If I've managed to make enough money to buy that table and 4 chairs, I'll go see it by July. If I haven't made the money to go see it, I won't go see it. I made a promise. I'm sticking to it. It's the way it goes. Now, I'm not saying that I expect to get $1,000 in donations by July. I'm not saying that. Because this is going to be a combination of my monthly fund money and y'all's donations. It's just, the more that you guys can help out, the faster I can do it. Because I get one fund money check a month. And I still have to pay off where I charged to replace his TV, which was $600. Because he decided he didn't need a super fancy one for his game room. He said, this one will do just fine. It's an LG. I can't remember the model. It's a 55-inch, I think. 55-inch. Have you played Honey Buzz and the Fall Flavors expansion board game? I'm not familiar with that one, no. Can't say I've heard of that one. I haven't been to the theater since The Last Jedi. Wow. The last time I went to the theater was Sonic 3. Because I always go to some kind of a movie during the Christmas holidays, and that's what was playing. I have all this stuff around me for all sorts of video production stuff I could be doing. I wouldn't mind having one of those rigs where I could put a camera over my digital pinball machine and film myself reviewing digital pinball machines. I'd like to do that, but I don't have the money to buy one of those rigs. I don't even have a decent camcorder right now. The last several times that I've actually made videos, I've made them with my phone. I don't even have a decent camcorder anymore. Because I haven't had the money to buy a good 4K camera. I wouldn't even know what to get because I tried doing that. I got one of those DLSS things, or whatever they're called, DLSR, whatever it is, that Wood recommended to me. But I didn't. Its autofocus didn't work good, and I didn't like having to constantly manually manipulate the focus. And it was more of a pain in the butt. I'd rather have one that's a form factor similar to a Handycam that has decent autofocus so I don't have to worry about that kind of crap, where I can just stick it on a tripod, turn it on, and record. Because, this is a 4K webcam, but look at the quality on it. This is as high of a frame rate as it gets. It's not good enough for making videos. That's another thing that's kept me from making videos. Because even the series that I've talked about wanting to do, the series about, kind of doing a Wayback Machine of where I was in life when I first played a particular game the first time. I wouldn't have to be on camera for that at all. That could be all voiceover. So I wouldn't need a camera for that. But what I would need is some way to come up with the imagery that I need for it. And I'm not worth a damn with stuff like After Image or anything where I could actually create graphics and stuff. I'm not any good at that kind of stuff. So I haven't figured out how I would do a series like that because for the most part, there's not any royalty-free stock footage out there of the things that I would be talking about. So it would either have to be done in like an animated capacity, which I don't have the skills to do, or it'd have to be like AI generated, which I don't really like using AI generated video, and plus I wouldn't be able to afford whatever it would cost for me to have access to that. So that's why that series hasn't gotten off the ground yet, because I literally haven't been able to figure out how to do it. The Chainsaw Man movie comes out in October, and I want to see it, but I'm not sure now because of the Minecraft movie buffoons. Well, I take it with a grain of salt whenever any live-action version of an anime is announced, whether it's coming from America or Japan. Because 9 times out of 10, the live-action movie is going to suck. 9 times out of 10. There have been exceptions. One Piece is good. I like One Piece. But Cowboy Bebop, ass. Bleach, ass. And of course, Dragon Ball was ass. Most live-action versions of anime are terrible. Can you imagine what it would be like if someone tried to make Berserk live-action? Chances are it would be horrible, depending on who they got to direct it and what kind of budget it had. Chances are it would be horrible. They would nerf it. It wouldn't be as violent as the original anime or the manga. Corners would be cut left and right, and it would end up being a piece of crap. I wish Nintendo would stop acting like cucks about adding achievements in their games. Oh, I don't blame you there. I mean, I don't really chase trophies anymore, but that's one of the reasons why I don't get as interested in Nintendo games, because I still like the idea of earning stuff just through playing through the game, because at least that proves that I beat it. Do you think this could be the last generation of physical media games? I've heard that PS5s require online to access the game too. Not in all cases, but I mean, if you bought the PS5 Pro and then bought the CD drive for it, you do have to be online to register the drive to that system. So yeah, in a way, there is online DRM now with Sony. Yu Yu Hakusho's live action was okay. I haven't watched that one. But you know what I have watched? Live action Death Note, and that was horse crap. What do you think about the Zelda movie that was announced? I have no confidence in that whatsoever. The Super Mario movie was okay, but that's because it was a CG movie. It was a cartoon. Fine. Zelda should be the same way. Live action Zelda, there's no way that movie is going to satisfy everyone in the fan base, or even the majority. There's no way. There's no way. What version of Link are you going to get? Who's going to play Link? Link's going to actually be talking. Are you going to end up with the, "Excuse me, princess"? What kind of Link are you going to get? I just don't see that one working out. I really don't. Mr. Skills, the point of the key card thing really is just to save third-party developers on the cost of having a physical release. Because, they have to buy the cases and everything from Nintendo to put and the carts to put their games on the carts. That's a racket that Nintendo's been doing for years. And and Sony, has their own version of it too, but they had a problem last gen with third-party releases getting on the Switch. Part of that was because of how weak the Switch was. And part of it had to do with the costs of putting their games on the Switch. And so having these digital releases where they're not having to pay as much because there's not an actual chip with there's not an actual ROM chip in there that has the game stored on it. It's just a little authorization key. It saves the third-party people a little bit of money. Not a tremendous amount, but apparently they think it's enough to get more third-party people to come on board. We'll see. I think it's a mistake. It also might have to do with capacity. You know, how much would it cost to have a ROM chip that would store the bulk of some of these games that are over 100 gig in size? How much would that cost? Because even with these ones that are not the data key carts, I would imagine that a lot of them are still not going to have the whole game on it. It's going to have a portion of it, and then you have to download the rest off of the Nintendo servers. They already had that on the Switch. I'm just not enthusiastic about it at all. I mean, remember, I don't even consider it a console. To me, it's just another handheld. The live-action Death Note was funny, but it wasn't for reasons that they intended. Tom Holland as Link? Oh, God. Isn't it bad enough that we've had Tom Holland as Nathan Drake? I think I've seen footage of Cyberpunk on Switch 2, and I was not enthused by it. I was not impressed at all. But I mean, if you have to be able to play it remotely, you know, I guess, you know, you're willing to make concessions for the portability, I guess. That all depends, really. It all depends. Some of these gaming tables are absolutely ridiculous. Like there's one that has seating on it that's almost like a picnic table. And its starting price is $2,200. $2,200. And then you have some that are even higher than that. I've seen some that get up in like the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 range. It's ridiculous. The only reason to get a Switch 2 is for exclusives and 2D indies. Well, some of the 2D indies end up on Xbox and PlayStation anyway. Maybe exclusive indies. The new Donkey Kong game looks legit, not going to lie. It does look pretty good. But it's not a system seller for me. Do you like coding, and do you plan on making a personal project with IT other than what the company wants? I'm not on the coding side of things. I'm a software analyst. I fix things that break. I'm not a coder. I am not a coder. Nope. Nope. Okay. All right. That'll be enough of that for right now. Let's catch up here. Wait, did you not like? I liked there's only been one Uncharted movie, Raymond. It was okay. I've seen much better, but it wasn't a nightmare. You're upset you didn't get Tom Holland as Black Panther? Imagine getting into coding, spending a while to learn it, only for your job to be replaced by AI. I started learning it until someone said AI probably going to take your job. Don't bother. Well, that's why I didn't get into coding back in 2002 when I decided to go back to college, because the college counselor at the time told me I should get into software support analysis or analyst and network engineering, which is what my degree was in, because, and I quote, all of the coding jobs are going to be in India and within the next year, and you won't be able to get a job anywhere. That ended up not being true. And I would probably be making somewhere in the 250 to 300 grand a year level now if I had not followed their advice. But because I did follow their advice, I'm still about $12,000 a year under making six figures. So, I'm making like 87, 88 grand a year. And that's including the bonus I get every year. My base salary is lower than that. Part of that is because of the salary that I agreed to start out with when I hired on with the company 13 years ago. They offered me 40 grand to start. I knew I was worth more than that, but I needed a job. I wasn't willing to fight them for it, and so I took what they offered. Just is what it is. When you're trying to recover, still trying to recover from the 2008 recession, 4 years later, you'll take what you can get. And $40,000 a year was enough to pay the mortgage and all the bills, so I took it. And so I started at a lower level on the salary rank than I should have. So I probably should be at the six-figure mark now, but I'm not. Probably take another promotion to get there. My pay tends to go up, like 2 to 3 grand a year. So as long as I can manage to not get fired or laid off, by the time I'm at retirement age, I'll be making well over six figures. Of course, the money won't be worth as much then. And that's assuming that AI hasn't taken all of our jobs and we're just living off of universal income and all that. Hopefully, from Mr. Skills, hopefully regulations happen to keep humans in those fields. I know the companies themselves will do anything to cut costs. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Before AI, it was overseas contracting. That's all AI is going to be to these companies, is a new form of overseas contracting. That's all it's going to be. Oh, magic powers. Right when I did that, I lost 2 viewers. That's funny. Universal basic income does not sound good. Yeah, and how do they decide how much your universal income is going to be? How do they decide where you fall on that spectrum? I would never trust that. Because I have a strong doubt that whatever universal basic income would be, it wouldn't be enough to afford this particular lifestyle. I don't care about being rich, but I at least want to be able to keep what I got. I'll never live in a McMansion. I'll never have anything nicer than the Dodge Challenger I drive now. I'll never own a house bigger than this one. This was the absolute peak of what I could afford at 2,300 square feet. So I would, if we all got forced someday into some kind of socialist universal income, I would hope that it would be at least enough to cover this. And if not, what's the point? Live in a pod, eat your bugs. Yeah, okay. Just be a tick on the backside of the government? No thanks. No thank you. Not going to lie, though, I wouldn't mind if Governor Abbott followed through and eliminated property taxes in Texas. That would help me out quite a bit. And that's about as close to getting into politics as I want to get on this show. So what else y'all want to talk about? Because I'm done talking about that. Anyone? Let's go. I'm here. Have you seen those AI videos where Civil War photos and portraits are brought to life? I don't know how much I believe those things. I think there's a lot of artistic license that's taken with those. Especially with some of the famous people like Abraham Lincoln and Jesus from the Turin Shroud and all that kind of thing. Do you think Ghost of Yotai or Yotei or however you pronounce it will be good? Well, I mean, the first game was great, so, unless they woke the hell out of the story, it ought to be fine. Tax-free overtime. I don't get overtime. That does nothing for me. I'm salaried. I work overtime every week. I don't get paid a dime for it. No, I didn't play Jedi Survivor. The thing that would help me out is Texas getting rid of state property tax. That's what would help me out. Because that would lower my mortgage. Make it easier to afford some things, pay off some bills. I've already got property tax somewhat managed because as soon as I bought this house, I filed a homestead exemption. And those are good for 5 years. So, I don't have to worry about that for a while. And plus, because of the fact that a tornado struck here 2 days before I moved in, it caused all the property values in this neighborhood to drop. So I'm now paying $100 less per month on my mortgage than when I moved here because of that. So if they dropped property tax altogether, oh yeah, that would help me out tremendously. So Governor Abbott, do I think they'll woke it up? Considering who they hired to play the voice, play the character, I think there's a strong possibility of that, Chris. I need to dedicate, from Mr. Skills, I need to dedicate more time to tackling my backlog. I have games I bought on PS3 days that I haven't even opened yet. I know that feeling. I can only imagine how bad your backlog is. I have over 2,500 physical games now. Yeah, I'm only missing like a couple of hundred NES carts from having the whole set. When it comes to air combat games or racing games, do you prefer first or third person? I don't like first person. But then again, I'm not big into air combat either. And I'm only into racing insofar as that I still love Burnout Paradise. The fact that we never got a Burnout Paradise 2 kills me. I wish that was a series that was still ongoing. Because as hard as Forza Horizons tries to scratch that itch, it doesn't really do it for me. It just doesn't have the vibe that Burnout Paradise did. For me, that was the perfect racing game. I still love it to this day. But EA, was it EA? EA took that studio and put them on other stuff, split them all apart. Awful. Awful. It's just some awful decisions that have been made in the game industry over the last 20 years. Just absolutely ridiculous. Did you like Need for Speed Underground 2? I don't remember if I played that one. I remember playing the Need for Speed that came out. It was the next one that came out after Burnout Paradise. And EA had actually taken the people that did Burnout Paradise and had them make a Need for Speed game. And so it had elements of Burnout Paradise, but the map wasn't as good. It didn't have as many fun activities. The soundtrack wasn't as good. You didn't have DJ Atomica narrating everything. It just, in general, felt like the Aldi's version of Burnout Paradise. I love Burnout Paradise. And I rebought it on PS4. I love that game so much. Need for Speed Most Wanted, that was probably it. It was the one that also got ported to the Vita. I think that was Most Wanted. That was the last Need for Speed game I played, I'm pretty sure. Oh, by the way, we have 1 hour remaining. We've had one $5 donation from the Melvor. We are $45 away from extending this show by an hour. Who would you say is more passionate about gaming, you or 8th? We're both equally passionate about gaming, but we're passionate about different parts of it. For instance, 8th is not as big into the retro thing as I am. He's not as big into arcade games as I am. But he has attained mastery of the Souls-like genre on a level that I never mastered any one particular genre in my lifetime. I've always been kind of a jack of all trades gamer. Pretty good at just about everything, but not elite in anything. But 8th is like elite level when it comes to Souls-likes. He plows through them like they're nothing. Like, what's that one that came out recently where everyone was complaining about how difficult it was? I can't even remember the name of it now. Kazan, the first Berserker or something like that. And everyone was complaining about the difficulty and all that. 8th platted it in 4 days. Just zip, 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 zip. Walked right through it like it was nothing. It's what he does, man. He does that to every Souls-like he comes across, unless it's a really janky one that has really bad gameplay. Like that one that came out a few years ago. God, I can't remember the name of it. It had like a really dark sci-fi look, and its hook was that it was a sci-fi game where you had guns and you had characters that were wearing chains and stuff. We have it, Immortal Unchained or something like that. It's horse crap. 8th never platted that one because he said the controls were garbage. But, stuff like Neo 2, Bloodborne, of course, Elden Ring, stuff like that. He blows right through them like they're nothing. And I never had a genre of gaming where I got so good that I could do that. That, any game that comes out in that genre, I can sit down and dominate it in a couple of days. I never got that good at any one particular genre. I was fairly good. I platted all the Uncharted games, beat them all on crushing mode, numerous games that were considered extremely difficult on NES, I beat them. Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, Ninja Gaiden 2. Never beat Ninja Gaiden 3 because I never played it. I'd already moved to 16-bit by that point. Bionic Commando. Contra without the 30-man code. Probably couldn't do that now, though. A lot of the really difficult NES games I was able to beat. Not because I was particularly skilled at any type of game on NES, but just from memorization and repetition. I'd play it long enough until I knew everything that was going to happen and how to get around it. Like, for example, Ninja Gaiden, I've told this story before. Ninja Gaiden 1, it took me a year to beat it. A week after I beat Ninja Gaiden 1, Ninja Gaiden 2 came out. I went out and bought it, and I beat it within 2 hours of getting it home. Because I'd gotten so good at the first game that the second game was a cakewalk. Have you gotten to play and beat the Switch Zeldas? No. I've gotten to play them, haven't gotten to beat them. Because I just don't have a whole lot of passion for Switch because it doesn't have an achievement system. I've come to expect that in my gaming now. I mean, this PC is not exactly a slouch. It's got a 3080 in it, which is not terrible. As opposed to just watching me play retro games, which you guys want me to get a Steam account and stream Steam games. I'm just asking. Nobody's ever asked me to do that. I don't even have my own Steam account right now. The account that 8th has was originally an account I set up for him and me. And when it became obvious that I wasn't going to use it, he just took it over as he got older. But, wait a minute. When do you think the trend of woking up movies, TV, and video game will end? It's kind of on its way out now. Look what happened to Snow White. Uncharted on crushing isn't hard. A certain doctor told me Donkey Kong is hard. There are a lot of people that cannot beat any of the Uncharted games on crushing because they don't play it right. They don't play it right. You have to alter your strategy for crushing because of how easy it is for you to die. You know, you can't be as gung-ho and run out there and pew, pew, pew. You have to be more strategic for crushing. And no, it's not hard once you know how to survive. But that's the thing. You have to learn how to survive. And if all you're going to do is still try to play it like you're playing it on normal, where you can do all this action movie type crap, you're not going to do it. A certain doctor. Who are you talking about? Dr. Trey? Dr. Trey 81? I know he's still around. I see him on X, posting on X every now and again. I don't think I've had any direct conversation with him in a long time. Will we ever see an Uncharted 5? I highly doubt it. I highly, highly doubt it. I would expect that the only way we would see an Uncharted 5 would be if they handed it to Sony Bend to do it for them. Or someone like that. Blue Point, maybe. Because the people that made Uncharted great are no longer at Naughty Dog. Another $10 from Melvor, this time a tooth. What's with the tooth? I appreciate the $5, Melvor. I'll give you another dollar bill. But what's with the tooth? What's the tooth represent? Are you saying I need to see a dentist? Are my teeth not wide enough for you, Melvor? What's with the random emojis, man? Eventually, I want to set up a membership like you guys have, and set up like a private Discord. So if you want to be able to take part in the Discord, you got to pay whatever the membership is. I'm eventually going to set that up, but I'm just lazy right now. I've been too lazy to set it up. I already have a Discord in there. It would just mean having to reset it and take everybody out of it, and making sure that only people that were on the membership list could get to it. But I'm too lazy to set it up. And plus, I need to come up with some other perks for it besides just, you get to be in the Discord. An exclusive video a month or something like that. I'd come up with something. But anyway, Melvor, thanks for the second $5. I appreciate it. That puts us now $40 away from extending the show by 1 hour. That means two of you could donate $20 and extend the show by an hour. Is anybody brave enough to take that step? Probably not. Probably not. 2 weeks ago was once in a blue moon. And like I said, Mr. Max 88 is not in here tonight. You're not going to tell me what the tooth is about, are you, Melvor? Man, oh man, oh man. Mr. Corduroy being all obtuse. Can I be in the Discord for free just because you... See, that's the thing. If I try to set that up, I'm going to have a bunch of you asking to get in for free. What's the point of doing a membership then? What's the point? What's the point in having a Discord, really? It's not like I'm talking about $20 a month, man. I'm talking like, at most, I would charge like $5 a month at most, and it probably wouldn't even be that. It'd probably be like $2 a month. Something to that effect. I don't know. I'm just blue skying. Just blue skying. because it becomes harder and harder for me to devote time to this as it goes on, because my job asks more and more and more of me. And so it gets to the point where, I need to get a little something back to justify the amount of personal time that I devote to it. Does that make sense to you? I don't want to be that way. I haven't been that way for the most part since 2009 when I started this thing. But, times change, the market changes, the platform has changed, my life has changed. And free time for me to actually do something that I want to do gets less and less and less with every breath I take. It's just the reality of it. And as they give us more and more responsibilities as a cost-saving measure, which I don't mind so much because to me, that's job security. The more stuff they expect me to do for them, the less likely they are to lay me off. That's the way I see it. The more I put in, the less likely I am to get laid off if they start having to axe people. But that also means less time for me to enjoy myself. I'm already down to averaging 3.5 to 4 hours of sleep a night, just so I can get up early enough to get more done at work. So we're not even talking about personal time for fun stuff. We're talking about just survival. And that's not exactly the greatest thing, because that can lead to dementia shit when you're not getting enough sleep over a long duration of time. And I got enough wrong with me as it is, trust me. What's a HAAS in wrestling terms? I have no idea. I've never heard that term. I have no idea what that is. Sorry. Don't have any answers for you on that one. See. Let me check something real quick. I have found one fast food item that I can eat that doesn't make me sick. Only one. Well, two. I can eat French fries. Those don't make me sick. I can eat the grilled chicken sandwich at Whataburger with nothing on it. That don't make me sick. I can eat chicken McNuggets from McDonald's with no sauces, no ketchup, no nothing. Those don't make me sick. But not really been buying a bunch of that stuff since I don't have any money. So I've just been eating a lot of rice. Like, for example, today for dinner, I had some grilled chicken breast and some brown rice with black beans on top. That was my dinner. But again, clean frame. I have no idea I don't even know how to pronounce that. So I apparently am not the one to be answering that question for you. By the way, Melvor, you look like junior high aged Professor Snape from the flashback scenes in the movies. I'm just saying. You also look like my cousin that passed away, but I've already told you about that. I told you about that on X a long time ago. Yeah, it's a weird thing. There are members of Jay's family that live not too far from where I lived in Tennessee. And there are some familiar similarities in facial structure between some members of my family and some members of Jay's family. Like, Melvor here. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying we're cousins, but we could be cousins. It is Tennessee after all. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, look at the shape of this nose, Melvor. Look at the shape of that nose. You've seen that in your household, Melvor. I'm just saying. Apple cider vinegar is supposed to help with acid reflux. It's supposed to help with gallbladder problems, too. I think you're supposed to put a teaspoon of it into a glass of water a day or something like that, and it's supposed to help with gallbladder, liver, gallstones, that kind of thing. My main thing, though, is I need to lose weight. I need to lose a lot of weight. I need to get more exercise. I need to be up walking around more. But, you know, Billy won't invite me to come game chasing, Melvor. Billy won't take me chasing because he's afraid I'll conk out on him in that Texas heat. I was like, I could be on one of the episodes that y'all just go to thrift stores and estate sales. Then I wouldn't be walking around out in the heat, now would I? But no, he don't want to take me. He don't love me no more, Melvor. He don't love me no more. I think McNuggets are smaller, yes. They're still not as small as Burger King nuggets. Those things are tiny. The only thing that makes the Burger King nuggets worth eating now is the buffalo sauce that comes with them, but I can't eat the buffalo sauce anymore. From QB, I remember on Game Chasers when Jay had another brother that looked like a mix of Jay and his other brother Dodongo. You're thinking of Tim. Tim still shows up on his live streams if you ever watch his live streams. But he also has another brother that lives with his dad in Tennessee. Or at least they lived in Tennessee at the time that episode was made. I don't know where they are now. But it wasn't that far from where I grew up in Tennessee. I grew up in a town outside of Chattanooga called Harrison. And they live, at least at that time, they lived fairly close to where I grew up in Harrison. The whole area of Harrison used to be hill country. And the actual town of Harrison was down in the valley. But when FDR signed the New Deal, they built that that Chickamauga Dam and flooded the Harrison Valley. And so they paid everybody a couple $100 for their inconvenience to move up into the hill country, and they flooded that whole valley. But now, even to this day, sometimes due to drought or what have you, Harrison Bay drains somewhat, and you can still walk around and see the foundations of the buildings that used to be there. When I was a kid, some of the buildings themselves were still there. You could go out on a boat and you could see the top of the church steeple. But now all that's left are the foundations. There's videos of that on YouTube. If you look up, Harrison Bay, Old Town remnants or something like that, you'll find videos of it. What that has to do with gaming, I don't know. But, at any rate, I grew up fairly close to where Melvor's relatives lived. Jay's brother and dad. Don't know if they're still there or not. But I've met Melvor once at Retropalooza. I've met Dodongo multiple times at Retropalooza. He remembers me because the first time he ever met me, I gifted him with a 6-pack of Lone Star beer. That's the main reason he remembers me. That, and the last time I saw him in 2023, he was needing some extra money, so he was selling some of his game collection. So I bought some of his game collection for him to give him some money. I didn't haggle him. I just gave him what he asked. Lookout Mountain is in the 86 Transformers. Yeah, I know. I saw that movie in the theater in 1986. My mom took me to see it at the East Ridge Theater in East Ridge, Tennessee, outside of Chattanooga. And so I'm sitting there with all these kids, and Hot Rod says, "We can get a better look from Lookout Mountain." All the kids exploded. Huge eruption of applause. Because they're like, "Yay, the Transformers live in Chattanooga." True story. That was probably the only town that movie could play in where it would get a standing ovation from the kids. Because of that one scene. But, a few moments later, Optimus Prime died, and they lost all their goodwill. All that goodwill just went right out the door. Then they didn't care that the Transformers lived in Chattanooga because they murdered Optimus Prime. Chattanooga, the Transformer murder capital of the world. But it made going to see that in the theater a very unique experience. The funny thing is, though, of course, is that, it was animated in Japan. They obviously weren't really thinking that there was an actual Lookout Mountain in Chattanooga, because the mountain that they're talking about doesn't look a damn thing like Lookout Mountain. Not a damn thing like it. But it was still funny. Make that a short? What, telling that story? I could maybe do that. I haven't really gotten into the whole shorts thing because I'm not good at it. People tell me I should take clips of what I'm doing here and make it into shorts. I never can think of what would be a good part of it to make into a short. I don't know what people think is funny or interesting and what they don't. Well, we got about 37 minutes to go, folks. We're still $40 short. $40 if you want to have me around for another hour. Even 4 people donated $10. I'm no good at maths. Yeehaw. Yeehaw. For the life of me, I don't know why I wanted that Fang Face board game. It's not a fun game. It's just one of the only ones that I had when I was a kid, so I wanted it back. It's not fun. Well, how would I really know if it was fun or not? The only person I ever got to play with was myself. I had to play all the other pieces just to be able to play it. Only child, don't you know? It's the way it goes. Even my cousins wouldn't play it when my cousins would come over. Oh, they'd rather play Dungeons and Dragons. They don't want to play Fang Face with a 6-year-old kid. Oh, no. Bitter much? Yeah. The questions are drying up, folks. If you're not going to pay for an extra hour, at least make the last 35 minutes entertaining. Ask me some questions. At least make it entertaining for me. Give me a reason to enjoy the sound of my own voice some more, because I love that. No? Melvor, you ought to just come down here and hang out with me. Screw all the other ones. Why don't you just hop in the car and come down here one weekend? You can come take a look at all my stuff. mess around with all my stuff. That's what ought to happen. The others don't love me no more. You can come down and see me. 2-hour drive. I'll make it worth your while. We'll go to a good barbecue place and get something to eat. Did you play video games with your cousins at least? Yes, in fact, they were the only reason I had video games for a good chunk of my life. Because my parents didn't understand video games, didn't see the point in paying for them when they didn't have much money to begin with. So for the longest time, the only video games that I got were their hand-me-downs when they upgraded. So my first system was a Radio Shack Pong clone because they replaced their Radio Shack Pong clone with a Fairchild Channel F. And so then I got their Radio Shack Pong clone. When they upgraded from Fairchild Channel F to Atari 2600, I got their Fairchild Channel F. I didn't get anything else from them at that point because in 1982, Christmas of 82 or 83, the Atari was dirt cheap. And I asked for an Atari for Christmas. My parents said, "Are you sure? They got nicer ones out than that." And I was like, "Yeah, because I know you can't afford the nicer ones, so just get me an Atari." And so they got me an Atari and some games for Christmas. And then the market crash happened. And so that following January, when the after Christmas sales started, I was able to walk into Hill's department store with my $20 in birthday money and come out of there with close to 100 Atari carts because they were selling them for $0.25 a piece. Up until that point, that was the biggest video game collection I'd ever had. And I didn't get hand-me-down when they upgraded anymore after that. I didn't get their hand-me-down Coleco or their hand-me-down Magnavox Odyssey 2 or any of that other stuff. I was on my own from that point because after the Atari, I just switched over to computer because all my friends in the neighborhood had Commodore 64s by that point. And so I wanted a Commodore 64 actually so I could trade games with my friends. But instead, my dad went for the cheapest computer he could find, which was a discontinued Tandy 1000EX at the Radio Shack. Which, don't get me wrong, I had that computer for years. And, it helped me with a lot of school projects. And I had some games on it that were pretty good, but not as good as the games that were available for the Commodore. And so then come 1985, my cousin comes over and he's got his Nintendo with him. And so I got to play some Nintendo then. But I didn't get my own until the summer of 87 because by that point I was old enough to make some my own money cutting grass. And so I made enough money cutting grass that summer to go and buy my own Nintendo. If you were a pro wrestler and could have a world title run with any belt, which title would you want? The Undertaker version of the World Heavyweight title. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. There's pictures of it. It's all black and purple and awesome looking. Laughing my ass off. 7, are you having a Toke's bread knife moment with your cousins? No. This isn't a bread knife. This is just a little personal knife that I picked up at the academy a while back. I bought it the same day that I bought the sidearm that I have. Gaming becomes so much better when you have your own income. Screw only getting 2 games a year. Exactly. Of course, I'm not buying games right now, aside from the one that I accidentally bought because I forgot that I had the pre-order. I'm not buying any games right now. Everything's going towards that table for his tabletop board game room. Boy's 22 years old. Moving into being his own man. So I'm not quite as useful to him as I used to be. Especially with the way I am now. But when the opportunity arises for me to do something for him that makes him happy or makes his life better, I do what I got to do to make it happen. And on some occasions, that's included help from you guys. And I've always appreciated it, and I always will. You ever had to pop your sternum? Hurts like hell, don't it? It's right in there. Ooh, hate it. Hate it. And it don't feel any better when you get older. Just letting y'all know. And I'm out of tea. On Melvor, look. Look what I'm drinking out of. Yeah. Yeah. Melvor, do you remember that time that we met at Retropalooza and I dropped all those ideas for merchandise that you guys should do? Do you remember what one of them was? That y'all should come out with your own set of McDonald's-style glasses with the etched glass, with the kind of stuff that that Tim and his wife sell at the cons anyway, but specific to you guys. So, you know, have Jay and Billy on one. Have you on and Dodongo on one. Have Tim or have Eric and Keeb on one. You know, do a Halloween set that has characters from the cartoon on it. That kind of thing. I guarantee you people would buy them. I would buy them because I loved those etched glasses when I was a kid. I still have etched glasses that I bought from Tim's wife. I have an Autobot and a Decepticon one that I bought from Tim's wife. That's what y'all ought to do. Instead of just having one that has like the Game Chaser logo on it, or that's the way game chasing go, you know, put yourselves on them in scenes. Do like animated wraparound scenes from famous episodes. I think that'd be awesome. I'd buy the whole set. Because I've gotten a lot of good use out of this thing over the years. This is my favorite mug. Mug. If you know what that's from, I respect you. Ooh, wah, wah, wah. 7th, what is the best game on Sega Saturn? In my opinion, Dragon Force 2. That's my favorite anyway. It only came out in Japan, but I happen to have it, and my Polymega happens to play it. You can play it on a regular US Saturn if you have one of the expansion cards. You can even use one of the game mod carts for that. Like if you have the Saturn version of Game Shark, that'll allow you to play Saturn Japanese imports. But I have Polymega, so I don't need that. And with Polymega, you can even splice in the English language patches that get stored in a little SD card on the back of the Polymega. Yeah. So the fact that I was not able to score a copy of Lunar 1 and 2 Remastered Collection, don't care, because I have the complete editions on Saturn from Japan with the and all I have to do is download the patches. I already have the games installed on the Polymega. I'm good, folks. I'm good. Oh, God. Are there none among you who wish to see me for another 60 minutes? Has thou love for me fallen so far? American Made. I only watch the Chasers for Melvor. Okay, American Made. I know who American Made is. I ain't saying, but I know who it is. Where's that banner, American made? I ain't seen that banner yet. Where that banner, American made? Where that? Why ain't you coming around here for? American made. Hmm? Why are you making yourself scarce all of a sudden? American made. I'll tell you later, Melvor. I'll tell you on X. You know you could just do another hour out of the goodness of your... Have I not explained this already? Have I not explained this already? Multiple times. Would you try tabletop games if mixed with virtual reality? Or augmented reality? I'd try it. Sure, why not? Do you think we are stuck graphic-wise in video games unless we reach holodeck levels of tech? We have nowhere left to go. That's pretty much where we're at right now. To where it's, it's not really much of a point of how good the games look anymore, but just advances and evolutions in how we interact and play with them. The broadness of it, the scope of it, the storytelling, the interaction, those are the things that are going to bring the most evolution to the genre now. Because, and I've told you this for years, guys. The closer video game graphics get to photorealism, the less of a visual advancement you're going to be able to see from one generation to the next. And that's why you had people complaining, hey, these PS5 games don't look that much better than PS4. Because the closer you get to photorealism, the less of a big advantage you're going to see outside of resolution and facial mocap, maybe. And so then it becomes how you play, the size of the worlds, the way you can interact, how much freedom you have in the game. Those kind of things become what's the big focus. Not so much graphics. And I don't think there's any going back. Even if they get to, they have these big advancements in the size of chips and semiconductors and whatnot, to where they can make much, much more powerful graphics cards that won't overheat or, suck up the sun worth of electricity to run. It won't matter, because once you get that line of photorealism, that's as far as you can go. And we're not that far from it now. We're not that far from it. I mean, look like this company in France, this team in France that made Expedition 33. The mocap of the face ain't the greatest, but look at the quality of graphics they were able to achieve with a team of like 40 people. To me, that says, what are these big AAA companies doing with their $400 and $500 million budgets that they haven't achieved photorealism if these guys, 40 people, can achieve what they did with the resources they had? That's what y'all ought to be asking. New game mechanics and 120 frames per second. You're not wrong. Hi, Sage J. How you doing, Sage J? I know too many J's. It gets confusing. You got Sage J. You got Stranded J. You got Shady J. I just know too many damn J's. It just gets more and more confusing. More and more confusing. And I'm already 50 years old, man. I got to keep up with enough as it is. You know? Man. Why'd everybody always picking on me? Well, crap, Melvor. You don't have direct messaging enabled on your frickin' Twitter, your X. Unless you have more than one. Maybe you have more than you've set up more than one, and I just found an inactive one. I could check that. Let me see. No, you only have one on there. Well, I guess I can't tell you who American Made is then. Oh well. Oh well, Melvor. I'll give you a hint though. You met him when you met me at Retropalooza. And no, it's not 8th. Unreal Engine 5 has tons of potential. It has tons of memory leak issues and bugs too. The PS1 is 30 years old and we still can't get a consistent 60 frames per second in modern 3D games. Not at 4K we can't. Not at 4K. No, I barely check social media. Well, whose fault is that, Melvor? Whose fault is that? I'd give you my phone number so we could just direct text. Jay has it. I'm trustworthy. You know, I don't give the stuff out. Jay can tell you that. I've had his phone number since 2018. I don't spam him. I've only tried to voice call him once or twice. How about that, son? My Twitter is at the 7th level. Why don't you send me a direct message? I'll send you my phone number. How about that? Step up the plate, Melvor. Good God. You're like Billy. Billy's known me for, if you consider the amount of when I started talking to him when I still lived in North Carolina, we've been friends for 10 years. He still won't give me his phone number or take mine. Where's the trust, man? Where's the trust? I tell you. I know they're not celebrities. Doesn't mean I have to be an a-hole, though. I'm just saying I don't abuse his phone number. You know, I'm not like constantly texting him. You know, like the little dog that follows around the bulldog, you know. What are we going to do today, Spike? What are we going to do today? That ain't me. I don't do that. And I don't give people's phone numbers out to other people either. I am trustworthy with personal information is what I'm getting at. I don't know, American Made. I just seem to have the weirdest problem with making friends that actually want to come around, you know? I can even move closer. I'm now 2 hours away from them. And even closer to other people. And they don't come around. They don't want no part of this fat ass. No. Nope. Meanwhile, 8th's friends who live an hour from here will drive up. They'll drive up to go upstairs with all that stuff that I'm trying to help him build. My friends won't. Nope. No Melvor, no Billy, no Jay, no other people. Where's that banner at, American Made? We're down to 15 minutes, folks. 15 minutes and $40 short of being able to talk to my sweet fat ass for another hour. None of my friends love me no more. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. I'm giving you 15 years of primo entertainment. Where's the love? Where's the friendship? Well, you know, I do have it handy. I got more than one. This is my other one. I got this one. And then over here, I got this one. Well, to be fair, 8th's friends don't have mortgages and families to support. Well, they have each other to support because they live in apartments. And they have to pay rent on their apartments. Most of 8th's friends are now living out on their own. But 8th has me, so he doesn't have to worry about that kind of expense. But all of them live down in Georgetown or Cedar Park area, which is about an hour from here. So to hang out, either 8th has to drive down there or they have to drive up here. The Texas Knife Massacre, I don't know how well that would go over. I feel like that would end up being more like a comedy, like a Texas version of Crocodile Dundee. Four touchdowns in a single game. Don't ask me why I bought this. I've had it for a long time. I just haven't bothered to put it on because it's so stupid. It even has Bundy on the back. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I'm weird like that. I'll see something, then on pure impulse, I'll get it just because I think it would be funny to wear that. Or it'd be funny to hang that on the wall, you know. I've got so much stupid shit in this house, and the reason I have it is because it would be funny to have that hanging on the wall. Like banners, right, American Made? Or light up signs. Don't you do that on me. Welcome, foolish mortals. It's upside down. Welcome, foolish mortals. Or Mario. I've got one for Nuka-Cola. It's upstairs because it was something I got as a free gift from Temu, and one of the pieces of tubing is actually too far, so it's making it to where it doesn't light up properly. So 8th took it upstairs, and he's going to cut a piece of that tubing off to fix it. But eventually, all three of those are going to go up on the wall way up there. Now all you need is a no ma'am shirt. If they had one, I probably would have bought it. I probably would have bought it. You realize, American made, that I will have been here a year towards the end of next month. Like a month from this weekend, basically. I have yet to see your game room. Just saying. Et tu, Brute? Twisty, twisty. Are there not 4 people in here who think it would be worth $10 for me to stay another hour? Really? Really? Am I not compelling or interesting enough for y'all this week? Y'all were chomping at the bit to watch me mess with Billy 2 weeks ago. And I thank you for that. I got a lot of nice stuff. Once I got the money to work anyway. And Billy could ship the stuff to me. You know, Billy's the only, with the exception of one game that's actually from American Made, Billy's the only reason I even have an N64 library, because it's all stuff that I bought off of his whatnot. True, it's true. Not anymore, though. Can't afford to do that now. Not until I got that table paid for, son. Not until I got that table paid for. Got to get it done. Got to get it done. Y'all want to see the game room tour, don't you? There's a lot more than just what you see behind me. There's a lot more. This house isn't a McMansion, but it's bigger than it looks. You can ask American Made. He's been here a couple of times. Oh. All the questions have dried up all of a sudden. Everybody's heading out on me because there's 5 minutes left and they know nobody's going to donate $40. That's what it is. Y'all are just giving up on me now. I tip my hat to y'all. Oh my goodness. I'm kind of hungry. But I don't want to go anywhere and I couldn't afford to buy anything if I did. Might eat me some more beans and rice if there's any left over. I can't remember if we had any left over or not. I'll have to go look. I will have to go look. I shall peruse the contents of the refrigerator. This was very disappointing. When you think that you're buying a replica of the flux capacitor and what you end up with is a little tin sign. It's very disappointing. How many of the people that watch the 7thCast regularly actually know your real name? None. None. Well, American Made knows my name. But I wouldn't call him someone who regularly watches the 7thCast, though. I wouldn't go that far. But he knows my name. The only other person who knows my name doesn't watch the show anymore. A crossover in video games that you would want to see. I've never been a big fan of that. Crossovers. Because I think to myself, why would I want this one game when I could just get 2 more of their respective series? Then I'd have 2 games instead of 1 game. But I've never been a big fan of crossover stuff. Plus, one of them ends up getting more attention than the other, so you're always going to be dissatisfied on some level. No, QB, it's not generic. Maybe one of my names is, but certainly not my last name. But, I don't hand that out to just everybody. Even Melvor, Billy, and Jay, who've been around me in person multiple times, still just call me 7th. Because even though I've told them what my real name is, they don't use it. I'm just 7th. And it's that way for the majority of the friends that I have, going back over 30 years. And that's fine, because I've never been a big fan of my real name anyway. Never been a big fan. So once my friends gave me a new one, I was happy to have it. And I've had it ever since. I feel much more comfortable with 7th than I do my actual legal name, because more people call me 7th than there are people, even in my own family, that call me by my real name. I wouldn't be happy about it, Blaze. Because that's a violation of privacy. Never mind the fact that, like I said, there's only 2 people in the entirety of YouTube that know what it is. And so I would then know that one of them shared it with somebody else. And I'd be none too pleased about that. None too pleased. Well, there's more if you count Billy J and Melvor. Although Melvor probably doesn't even remember it. But Billy and Jay know it. Yeah, I noticed that, QB. I noticed that. That's why I don't live stream that kind of stuff. When I'm live streaming, all there is what you see right here. You don't see anything that would even come close to outing. Because, I think it's still important to have a certain level of anonymity. I think that's an important thing to have, especially in relation to work. Now, I don't do anything on here that my employers would be offended by, but better safe than sorry. I would just as soon not have to worry about that one way or the other. There are other people that work for the company that, do live streaming and such, and it's just gaming streaming, nothing serious, and they're not in any trouble. They haven't been gotten in any trouble. But to be safe, I would just as soon maintain some level of my anonymity on here. How do you know that JRPG you mentioned is not a JRPG? It's a French RPG. Is Game of the Year level good? Because I watched 8th play it. I watched how the mechanics worked. I picked up enough story to see how unique the story was. Voice acting is tremendous. Music is great. Graphics are great. Frame rate is awesome. It's Game of the Year material. Trust me. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock. We are $40 short of extending the show, so this is where it ends. Be thinking of what y'all want to ask me next week. Write it all down so you don't forget it, and then I will see you all then right here